Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. This morning, as every morning, you wake up with the news and you hear of all of the crazy things that's going on in the world. And they seem to never change. It is a constant. And we have all kinds of institutions engaging themselves in processes. And they delve in with the goal of coming up with solutions for these must be fixed. And it's a lifetime pursuit that is never, ever satisfied. And the question in some people's mind might be, why is it like that? And if the question is there, you can bet your last money the answer is there, but who is willing to search for it? Who's willing to find it? And if they are blessed enough to find it, who is willing to share? One of the most major instruments of the problems that exist is what we call an expression deception. And it's kind of built on the foundation of a lie. And at every level of life where humans are involved, it engages themselves in lying. I remember just the other day, or should I say last night, this morning I heard on the news that the president, who often states that he has been the best president for black people or people of color than any in the history of the planet. Now, to him, that might be true. It might be as real to him as anything else is real. But to the people, I mean, it's kind of hard for you. It's better, I would think, for a president to ask the people if he's been like that. And if they say it, then maybe okay. But if they don't say it and he's saying it alone, then that doesn't necessarily make it so, because any lie can justify itself. And then when you come by and you have one of your top representatives, Jared Kushner, comes by and saying, well, you can't help it when the president does and wants more for the blacks than the blacks wants for themselves. That is a kind of slap in the face, as some would say. How would you know? How would you know? Then at the same time, when you make a statement like that, you also justify the fact that God wants what every individual wants for themselves, to be living as though they're in heaven on earth. That's what God wants for all people. But they reject it. So what does that say? If Jared is saying that black people are not smart enough to want what President Trump wants for them, then what is this statement saying? That the whole human race is not smart enough to want for themselves the beauty of life that God wants for them. So if one is acceptable, then I would hope that the other is as well. But ladies and gentlemen, that's just a representation of how things are dealt with around here. But they are not the only things. The other things that causes pain and suffering, things such as the wildfires out in the West. Now, can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, they are saying that these fires are not being stopped. They are hopping highways, expressways. These babies are serious, and they're destroying everything in its path. Everything in its path, taking it down, fires. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's not all. On other fronts, you got the hurricanes, you got the storms, and they're raising havoc everywhere, and the people are suffering. I mean, people are going through all kinds of changes. But that's not all. You got the virus. It's going around and it's taking out. I mean, it's doing devastation to this we call the human population. All of these problems existing, and yet we still have people running around here telling lies. The Democrats saying one thing that they want to do. Republicans call them lies, and I have to say it, when the president comments about it, mostly everything that comes out of his mouth is going to be a lie. And he's going to try to down it and make the Dems look so bad. At least when the Democrats say that he's bad, the evidence follows. But at the same time, there are those who think that the evidence is good. So what I'm saying about Trump isn't really no different when it comes down to the Democrats, except that Trump is just low down and dirty. If based upon the way we were trained and brought up to think about what's right and what's good and what's not, we know that the world is evil, but Trump represents low down and evil. That means people like dictators, Putin, they represent low down and evil. In fact, anywhere that there's suffering, major suffering, it represents low down and evil, not necessarily with the representatives, even though the representatives represent the people, because the people wouldn't have them there if they weren't like that. So that says a lot about people. Well, that doesn't change anything. Neither the Republicans nor the Democrats argue that they got solutions for the entire population. The Republicans don't say this is going to work for everybody. The Republicans don't say we're going to have health care for everybody and it's going to benefit everybody and it's going to be cost-free. No, Republicans don't say that, and neither do the Democrats. And even if they didn't say it wasn't going to be cost-free, they still wouldn't say it. If they don't want it. See, this, ladies and gentlemen, represents the division. This is what deception brings about. This is what the lies bring about. Like, you are more important than others and you're more special than others. And so, you got this division. So neither one of these guys can fix this problem, Republicans or Democrats, and they refuse to come together. They refuse to come together and fix it. But who are the losers? The losers are the people because it's not fixed. And then you'll get a priest who will come on and talking about something. I don't know. I saw him popping on the news, and he made the statement in reference to scriptures that indicate that salvation, basically, as I paraphrase it, is a gift because of Jesus Christ. And that don't think that, your good works is your salvation, that your good works get you into heaven. No. So your good works didn't do that. You are saved by what Jesus Christ did. Now, what that basically suggests is that Jesus has done the work. So what you do really don't matter. And the easiest thing to do in a world that's challenging you to do it a certain kind of way, willing to punish you if you don't do it that kind of way, and if you're trying to stand up and represent some other power, then they will actually kill you. So the easiest thing to do when Jesus Christ has paid the price is do nothing but follow the flow. Now that sounds like a good story, a good, wonderful story. For the deceiver, it works. No challenges. And it allows you who have thought that you had a great nation, who have believed that your institutions were solid, now face the fact that they aren't. Because you got a guy who has walked straight up in this White House like Donald Trump. Yeah, walked straight up in there out of all that you claim to have been. There he is. And all of your institutions that you put so much praise in, even your generals, have served no purpose at all. You, the people, have suffered. You believed them when they told you that these things were going to work. You believed them when they told you they would represent you. You believed them. Even when Senator Graham said something about Barack Obama's nominee for the Supreme Court, you heard what he said. And you heard what they all said. And flipped the script when they turn around and just like that. What does that say to you, ladies and gentlemen? What does that tell you that you're dealing with? You're dealing with a bunch of nuts. You're dealing with the devil. You're dealing with the most evil stuff, and it's right before your eyes. And now they think that they got you mesmerized, and you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. They got the biggest devil that this nation ever seen standing up on that podium out there riding around in the nation's plane. Air Force One? Riding around in the Air Force One. The biggest liar. The world sees him as a liar. Ooh, here comes the liar. Fried in that plane. That's the power. And he's sitting up there before the nation and the world, claiming to be victorious, to be the next president of the United States of America. Claiming that. And telling every lie he possibly can to make you believe that this other guy is not fit and that he is. And you, the American people, are caught in a matrix and you don't know what to do. Well, it seems that if you believe that you don't do nothing, these people will have convinced you that what you used to believe, that faith without works was dead. So in essence, if you believe what I was just suggesting there, then it doesn't even require faith. If it's dead, don't require any work. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Let's assume that everything that priests said about those scriptures are true. Let's just assume that it is true, that you don't have to do a thing because Jesus Christ died for you. He was the Son of the living God, just like you. But he was special because he could do things that you don't believe you can do. And he died because he didn't take the stuff that these scriptures are asking you to take. He didn't go through and accept the stuff that the scriptures are telling you to do. He stood against it. And they killed him for that. So since they killed him for that, you don't have to worry about it. That's going to get you in. So don't worry about your good works. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. What you do is do your good works. Do it as if it's the only thing that's going to get you into heaven. Now, if what Jesus did is going to get you into heaven, you can believe that. Believe it. Believe it. But since you believe it, then validate what Jesus did. Validate why they killed him by becoming an expression of what he represented. Make sure that everybody got food in the country and the world. Make sure. All right, now, listen. Make sure that everybody got shelter. Yeah, make sure they got a place to stay. Make sure that everybody got access to education. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, listen. I'm trying to tell you something. Make sure that everybody got access to health care from the womb to the tomb. Now listen here. Check this out. All of the resources for all of the stuff that exists on the earth today that men have already made and will always make as long as they exist have been given by a power you can't see. It wasn't by man. It was about the creator of the earth who hid everything in the earth, on the earth, or above the earth. And because of your needs for survival and your ambitions and aspirations that come through your mind and make you just want to do all kinds of things that make man have always wanted to do all kinds of things. And then that drive that each of us have to play a part in doing something. Today we have to do what we can find best to do that pays the most money. At least that's what we look for. And then we give ourselves. But in God's plan, I'm talking about God, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you there is a God. In God's plan, you engage yourself and create and bring back, and all the things that you engage in collectively as a people belong collectively to all you, the people. Wow. Now, that's what you shoot for. You shoot for that. Now, the world is not going to like that. They're not going to like that at all. But I tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want you to focus on. The judge kind of brought it to front center. The judge that they just swore in, the Supreme Court Justice Barrett, I might have the name wrong, don't quote me on it. She made a statement. She says that as a judge, you must follow the law. regardless of your personal morality. I don't think she used the word morality, but that's the same thing. Regardless of what it is, you must follow the law. So the Constitution says thus and so. It's a law. As a justice judge, you must follow that. Well, that also says, I was thinking about that. When the law changes, then even if it's totally opposite of what it used to be, then the judge had to follow right on with that, which is exemplified when we think about the number of people who are involved in jails and prisons for dealing in marijuana. At a time, they said the law said you had to abstain from this kind of activity. Get busted, you go into jail. Well, and then the law changes later on and start making permits, permitting people to go into business, dealing in these marijuana when other people are still in jail for these acts. But the judge, as she says, must flip her script, morality or whatever, and go with the flow. Ain't that something? See, God don't play that stuff. God requires a total opposite. God requires a total opposite. That's why it is said no man can obey two masters. God says love is the answer. Man says money is the answer. And you got to choose between the two. Today, you have chosen money. You have chosen money. And money represents that there are people who are supposed to have stuff because they got it. And there are people who are not supposed to have stuff because they don't. They justify that as being an acceptable system. They justify that as being an acceptable system. And it's easy to understand them doing that. If you have never been taught of anything else and then you reject anything else that comes along, then it might take the fires. It might take the storms and hurricanes. It might take bugs and bees. It might take viruses to bring you around. My hope and prayer and my constant everyday effort is to hope in you that you will wake up, that you will care. All you have to do is start caring about other people. If you start caring about other people, you wake up so fast. You see, the thing if Democrats and Republicans came together, which they cannot do because they weren't designed to come together. In fact, the problem of the day exists because the Democrats and Republicans and the American people, that's what I'm basically saying, refuse to come together. If they came together, they would recognize that their concerns are the same all across the board. And when they start looking for solutions that work well when they are divided, because it'll work for one side at the benefit of the loss of the other. But now that they are coming together, they see that. At face level, they see it. And it is not permitted. They won't allow it to permit it because the truth is there in the middle. You can't hide behind a lie. Yes, it does affect everybody. It affects them just like it affects you and you just like them. And so that's the benefit of coming together. Coming together, you can fix this problem overnight. But Donald Trump knows that. That's why he came straight in dividing. Straight in dividing. You some good, they are nothing. Kick them out of the suburbs. Kick them out of business, but I do more for them than any other president. You see what I'm saying? All of this junk, this is just junk that's being fed to a people that the system have no respect for, and they have tricked you to believe that they are your God. Money and a bullet if you don't listen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you only knew the truth. Well, I want to thank you so very much. I hadn't planned to talk this long. 5 minutes would have been good, but here it is, whatever. And I want to thank you so very much. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.